Can we have a quick conversation about how to get an emergency business loan with no collateral? I bet you would think this is an important topic, right? So don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous. If you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. In today's conversation, I'm going to address a very important question: how to get an emergency business loan with no collateral. But before we get into a business loan with no collateral, let's talk about how do traditional secure loans work. Why? Because when you are speaking about a business loan with no collateral, you are in fact speaking about an unsecured business loan. So to understand the dichotomy between unsecured business loan and a secure business loan, you need to understand how do traditional secure loans work. A traditional secure loan gives the lender much more control. It gives them a sense of security when choosing to lend to a business. So if the borrower defaults on the loan, the lender can get paid on the loan by seizing the collateral that's securing the loan. So for example, mortgages are secure loans, so the home itself acts as collateral. So in the event you default on mortgage payments, the lender or bank will take the home. So having collateral in the mix gives the lender some kind of comfort when it comes to taking on risk. And so banks need collateral because they're in the business to make money. They are in the business to manage risk, right? And part of the risk management exercises here is to make sure that they actually weed out, quote unquote, the bad borrowers, the bad credit borrowers from the good credit borrowers. And the second reason is that underwriting a small business loan costs a bank about as much as underwriting a loan for a large enterprise. So they have to actually cover their costs too. So even if you qualify for an unsecured financing program, you will usually have to provide a personal guarantee. While both ensure that lenders are paid what they are owed, personal guarantees put less of a strain on your business. So instead of placing assets on the line, a personal guarantee holds you personally accountable in the event your business defaults. So if your business closes and the entity no longer exists, you, as the individual who guaranteed the loan, would be personally liable to pay. We have actually covered we have several videos that sort of cover the topic of business loans without collateral, business loans without personal guarantee. So please check out our database of videos to learn more. And generally, one thing we have seen is that lenders may put something called a UCC lien on your business. So while the business owner won't put up collateral at the time of the agreement, the lender is permitted to pursue collateral. So the big question is it really difficult to get an emergency business loan with no collateral? Not really. It's not really that complicated if you do things methodically, and this is what I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you the method you have to go through to get the business loan you need with no collateral. First thing first. There is a wide array of options you can consider if you're looking for an unsecured business loan for your established business or startup. This includes the SBA loans. You have online long-term loans. Remember, I said online, not traditional long-term loans, because banks are not really in the business of lending to you when you are in an emergency. That's unfortunate, but that's how things go. They have to cover their butts. So it's all about risk management. So you got to really look for alternative lenders, and those lenders usually appear on the internet. So online lenders. You also have the private lenders. So you have SBA loans. You have online long-term loans. You have something called MCAs. Those are merchant cash advances. In other words, if you how does it work? So basically, when a business receives a merchant cash advance, the financing company is advancing a specified sum that is then paid back using a particular percentage of sales. In essence, it is purchasing a portion of the company's future sales. You have MCAs. You also have business credit cards. Yes, believe it or not, business credit cards are certain to be something you're familiar with, but they are actually very good at covering working capital, for example, especially when supplementing a traditional loan. Let me give you an example. If you have a 0% intro APR, this is great. It's a great option because this is essentially an interest-free loan that lasts for the duration of the specified introductory period. And this will vary by card and could be as long as 15 to 18 months. We've seen 18 months intro APR in our research, so that's fantastic. And you also can think about the private lenders that I was referring to earlier and the fintech firms. So these days, the wonderful thing here is that there are a lot of private lenders out there who are willing to offer loans without collateral, emergency business loans without collateral, as long as the business owner offers a personal guarantee or there is another way for them to actually know that the company is legit. For example, you have loans that ask you to link your financial statements, your accounting software to the lender's accounting software so they can track. They can see your transactions. They can see your income statement. They can see how much you're making on a monthly or quarterly basis, for example. So you have a wide variety of arrangements now that make it possible for all small business owners to get an emergency business loan with no collateral. I also want to talk to you about the kind of collateral that is needed for an emergency business loan. As I said before, if you're lucky, you might get an emergency business loan with no collateral. But in case you're not lucky, let's have in mind, you want to think about what kind of collateral might be needed for an emergency business loan. The collateral often takes the form of liquid assets. Liquid is key here. The word liquid is key. Why? Because liquid means that those assets can be easily converted into cash in the case of foreclosure. If there is a problem, if your business cannot repay the loan, the lender wants to be able to liquidate, wants to be able to sell the assets very quickly and not lose a lot of money. Because if you have an asset that is not liquid, in other words, an illiquid asset, lenders don't like that because they don't want to go through the extra stress of finding buyers, of establishing a price for the assets and then selling it. It's just not worth it for them. So the easier the collateral is to convert, the more liquid it is considered and the less risk is taken by lenders. And this gives you a better chance to obtain high quality business financing with better terms. So again, I'm talking to you about how to get an emergency business loan with no collateral. And I've given you a few minutes ago, all the types of loans that do not require collateral. But in case you have a lender who wants partial or total collateral, you need to know what the collateral might entail. And if you don't wish to leverage your personal or business assets, there are plenty of great unsecured financing options that do not require collateral, right? As I said, you have invoice factoring, you have invoice financing, you have equipment financing, you have merchant cash advances, you have term loans. Okay, so examples of liquid assets used as collateral for small business loans, especially those that are used in emergency business loans, you have commercial real estate, you have business equipment, inventory and supplies, invoices and customer payments. This is very important. And although the secured business loans obtained by leveraging such assets they are generally considered to be better offers with more agreeable interest rates and terms by small business owners, there are plenty of unsecured business loans, believe me, with terms that are just as beneficial and that do not require any sort of collateral. So just think about your options. You want to do some research. You want to watch all the videos that we have done covering the topic of unsecured business loans, and you'll be very lucky. All right, I'll be right back. Not after this, don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. I'm still having a convo with you today about how to get an emergency business loan with no collateral. And I've already given you the type of collateral that the type of loans that exists out there in terms of no collateral requirements. Now, can you get SBA loans without collateral? Because a lot of small business owners are interested in getting SBA loans. By the way, for those who are not familiar with the SBA stands for the Small Business Administration. And what it does is that it guarantees actually. So the SBA loans are backed by the federal government through the Small Business Administration. And but you can get the loan through a lender, an SBA affiliate, an SBA partner, loan partner, if you will, because the SBA itself does not lend money. And some SBA loan programs will require collateral while others may not. This is very important. So this does not, however, make SBA loans a bad choice by any means. If you have 2 years in business, 100K in annual gross sales, and 6 to 695 FICO, you can get an SBA loan. You have the low prime rates, long terms, and large amounts offered through SBA financing may be the best choice for you, especially if you are in an emergency. Okay, this is very important. Now, the question then becomes where to go for an SBA loan. Now, alternative financing companies provide SBA loans with expedited processing that gets business owners funded in a fraction of the time taken by banks. So we're talking here about 1 to 2 weeks. But now you'll have to submit a fraction of the paperwork too. So this is pretty cool. And why do business owners often seek an unsecured emergency business loan? It really depends. It depends on the situation, but based on our research, the majority of business owners will seek an unsecured emergency business loan for 3 reasons. First, they don't want to pledge their personal and or business assets. They may not have enough personal and or business assets to meet the lender's collateral requirements. And they are aware that lenders who demand collateral often undervalue assets in order to further reduce their risk exposure. For example, the industrial equipment that is worth $75,000 is likely to be valued at $50,000 by a collateral demanding lender. So if you find yourself in any of these categories, then you really should cross conventional bank loans off your list, because banks always require collateral in order to get a loan. And so you want to think about what works for you, what kind of loan, what kind of emergency business loans apply to your business model, to your industry. And I would say the very first step is to consider an SBA loan, because this is the one that has the lowest interest rates. And then if you can qualify for an SBA loan, then you move on to alternative lenders, online lenders, and fintech lenders. So the thing here is that how can you get an emergency business loan with no collateral? The first thing you want to do is look for the word unsecured. If this word appears before the name of any business loan, that means the lender does not require any collateral of any kind to be leveraged on your end. So this means that if you should default on your unsecured business loan, none of your personal or business assets will be at risk. Your options for unsecured business loans include unsecured small business loans and unsecured business lines of credit. So the type of loan that works best for you can vary based on your needs, really. However, there are also secured business loans that do not require your own assets to be leveraged, but someone else's. Let me repeat that. There are also secured business loans that do not require your own assets to be leveraged, but someone else's. In many cases, these options may be just as beneficial because your company really isn't losing anything that is not already yours. Let me give you a few examples. Equipment financing. So you can leverage your leased equipment as collateral, right? Merchant cash advance. You can leverage your customer's payment instead of your own capital. And there is much more. One thing I want to be very clear here is that you want to weigh your option. You want to evaluate your option. So when planning to start or grow a business, and if you need emergency business loans, you need to think about the lender. Which lender will suit you more? And we have actually, I'm not going to get into the details about the best lenders for unsecured business loans because we have covered that topic at length on gazillions of videos. So please go back to our database and you can just avail yourself of all the videos about the topic. Very important. And one thing I also want to say here is that if you're looking for a no collateral loan, there are limited options. And even then, many lenders still reduce their risk through other requirements that give them leverage in the case of default, including a personal guarantee. I think I've said that before. So you want to look for loans that not only have the word unsecured, but also that do not require a personal guarantee. And you might also have loans that have something called a blanket UCC lien. This is another option when lenders do not ask for a particular item of collateral. A blanket UCC lien may be placed on the business. That means that if the business were to default on its payments, the lender can then pursue the company's assets as compensation for the remaining unpaid sum. So this is something you have to be aware of. One thing I also want to say here is that as you are thinking about an emergency business loan with no collateral, remember that a high credit score can help. It is not necessary, but it can help. The stronger your business is financially, the better your options will be when it comes to obtaining financing. So naturally, a higher credit score will expand your options in terms of financing programs. However, challenged credit does not necessarily mean that you are out of options altogether. So you may still be able to obtain financing without collateral. To lenders, really, your credit score is just an indication of how your business has responded to financial obligations in the past. So a high credit score means that you have only taken on debt that you can pay. And a lower credit score just means that you may have had some difficulties in the past. So traditional financial institutions like banks generally will not offer loan programs without collateral, but with higher credit standards. And so you don't want to look in their direction. Alternative lenders, right, also called online lenders, they offer programs for business owners with bad credit. So if you don't have good credit, and folks, when I'm speaking about business credit or credit in general, I'm speaking about business credit, but also personal credit. So we have the duality here, business and personal credit. Because if your business has fantastic credit, but you are looking for an emergency business loan and the banks want to actually check your personal credit score, and if you have poor credit score, there might be a problem there. If you plan to apply for financing in the near future, whether it is for emergency or for an emergency or just regular working capital needs, make sure that you are able to you can take steps now to boost your credit, like paying all bills in a timely manner, paying down existing debts, not opening new business credit cards. And it's also really critical that you not apply for financing until you need it, because some lenders will run a hard credit check, which may show up on your credit history and temporarily lower your score. Okay, so always weigh your options. When taking out a loan to fund your business, please think about what works for you. Think about the term, think about the cost, think about the financial stability, the kind of liquidity levels you need to have in the company to pay back the loan. Those are things you have to think about. All right, folks, this was it for today. We were having a quick conversation about how to get an emergency business loan with no collateral, and actually explain to you how traditional secure loans work, whether it is difficult to get an emergency business loan with no collateral, what collateral is needed for an emergency business loan, can you get SBA loans without collateral, why do business owners often seek an unsecured business loan, and how you can get an emergency business loan without collateral. And I give you a few tips that might be helpful as you go about your business. Thank you so much, folks, for today's conversation. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your attention. I will see you next time, but until then, remember, stay marvelous.